Okay. Hello. Sorry about that. Uh, Good day to you. Today we're going to look at the Unit 17 of the course A2. We're going to be looking at the present perfect tense, which is quite difficult. It's a very particular tense. It is not intuitive. It's a little bit difficult, and so it has some problems. But we will look at some examples first, and then we will look at the grammar. So let's get started. I want to first look at the groups. We have the typical groups. We have the group in the phonetics script, the phonetics symbols, which come from the IPA, and I will be reading this very, very slowly. I want you to repeat and repeat just like I do, and then we will see the English quicker with better intonation. So let's get started. Uh, do you feel better this morning? Do you feel better this morning? No, I've still got the temperature. No, I've still got a temperature. Shall I phone the doctor? Shall I phone the doctor? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But the surgery isn't open yet. But the surgery isn't open yet. Well, I'll phone in half an hour. Well, I'll phone in half an hour. Why don't you stay in bed? Why don't you stay in bed and try to sleep? And try to sleep. I think you should take. I think you should take another pill. Another pill. I'll get you a glass of water. I'll get you a glass of water. Here you are. Here you are. What's the problem? What's the problem? I've got a terrible pain. I've got a terrible pain in my back. In my back. Do your legs hurt too? Do your legs hurt too? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I can hardly walk. I can hardly walk. Have you had this before? Have you had this before? Yes, I get it about once a year. Yes, I get it about once a year. Here's the prescription. Here's the prescription. Take one tablet after every meal. Take one tablet after every meal. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. How long should I take them for? How long should I take them for? 10 days should be enough. 10 days should be enough. I can't play golf. I can't play golf. Can you teach me? Can you teach me? Hold the club like this. Hold the club like this. Put your left hand here. Put your left hand here. And your right hand here. And your right hand here. Keep your feet apart. Keep your feet apart. And your head down. And your head down. And keep your eye on the ball. And keep your eye on the ball. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Let's look at the second group. Do you need the car? Do you need the car? No, I don't need it today. No, I don't need it today. But I'll need it tomorrow. But I'll need it tomorrow. To take Jenny to the doctor. To take Jenny to the doctor. She gave the book to her son. She gave the book to her son. She gave her son the book. She gave her son the book. He bought some flowers for his mother. He bought some flowers for his mother. He bought his mother some flowers. He bought his mother some flowers. Jack hurt his leg. Jack hurt his leg playing football yesterday. Playing football yesterday. Is the surgery open? Is the surgery open? Not yet. Not yet. Is Emily still on holiday? Is Emily still on holiday? Yes, she won't be back till Monday. Yes, she won't be back till Monday. Once a day, once a day, twice a week, twice a week, 3 times a month, 3 times a month. I've been with this company. I've been with this company for 25 years. For 25 years. I've lived in this city. I've lived in this city all my life. All my life. I've always wanted. I've always wanted to go to South America. To go to South America. But I've never been able. But I've never been able to afford it. To afford it. How long have you had this car? How long have you had this car? I've only had it. I've only had it for a couple of months. For a couple of months. I bought it 2 months ago. I bought it 2 months ago. Have had had. Have had. No new known. No new known. Very good. Now, you can copy the group below in the description, copy and paste into Google Translate. You can look at the meanings of these words. The translator sometimes will not give an exact translation, but it will give you the idea, and that's what's most important. So let's now look at the grammar from this unit. And okay, we have okay, Unit 17 grammar. Okay, let's look at this together. First of all, we look at the use of still. A situation or action continues from the past to the present without change. The normal position of the word is in the middle of the sentence. Example: I had a temperature yesterday. I had a temperature this morning. It is now 5 p.m. and I still have a temperature. I still have a temperature. Okay, so you see the situation is continuing. It's continuing from the past to the present without change. We are still looking for a new car. This means we continue to look for a new car. Let's also look at hardly. Hardly is an adverb, and it usually comes before the verb it modifies. It is negative. Used this way, it means almost not. I can hardly walk. I can almost not walk. Do not confuse hard, that means with effort, not soft or difficult, with hardly. Hard is an adjective, and hardly is a frequency adverb. I hardly work means I do not work almost. I almost do not work. Instead, I work hard. I work with great effort. English is a hard language means English is a difficult language. This bread is hard means this bread is not soft. Okay, if you have access, you can do exercises 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the Moodle course. That's the self-study course, and if you are interested in that, just leave a comment and I will contact you. Imperatives. Imperative sentences are used to give commands, directions, and instructions. The infinitive without to, which is the simple form of the verb, is used, and you is the implied subject. Hold the club like this. This means you hold the club like this. And in this case, you means both singular and plural, because you hold the club like this. I am talking to you singular. You hold the club like this. I'm talking to a lesson, a class, a group of people. Okay? But the imperative hold the club like this is for both singular and plural. Question tags. A tag is something we add at the end of a sentence. It is a question that comes from the subject and auxiliary verb, or the verb to be, in the first part of the sentence. A pronoun is used instead of the subject, and the auxiliary verbs are inverted, like a question form. And the tag is negative. It is always contracted. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, if I say today's Tuesday, that's affirmative. So the question tag, isn't it? Today is Tuesday, isn't it? So we have today is the subject, and then we have is, which is the verb. So we need to invert that. So we have the verb and the subject. The pronoun for the subject is it. So today we change to it, and it's contracted. So isn't it? Isn't it? Today we change to it because that is the pronoun, and then we use that after the verb in the negative contracted form. It sounds very, very difficult, and in fact it is. When the main verb is negative, the question tag is positive. So if I say today isn't Tuesday, that's an affirmative, the question tag is negative. Is it? Today isn't Tuesday, is it? So today is the subject, and we invert it and change it to the pronoun it. The verb isn't is negative, but we just put that before, and instead of making it negative, we make it positive. So is it? Is it? The question tag is used like a rhetorical question. The question tag wants the listener to confirm the statement. So, today is Tuesday, isn't it? It's like, I think today is Tuesday, but I want you to confirm. This is very conversational form. It's very important for the conversation. If you want, you can do exercise 6. Let's go on to indirect objects. We have a subject plus a verb plus what or who. So, I speak French. French is the direct object. What do I speak? I speak French. I give some flowers to my mom. The direct object is mom. No, I'm sorry. The direct object is flowers, and mom is the indirect object. You see, what do you give? I give flowers. And who do you give them to? I give them to my mom. Okay, now notice that we're using to here for the indirect object. Not all verbs can take an indirect object, but you can use the indirect object immediately after the verb without the preposition. You see, we will eliminate this too. It's possible to use a pronoun for the indirect object. Okay, so let's see. I gave my mom some flowers. You see, I've eliminated the to. I've gave my mom some flowers. So the direct object is after the indirect object, and the indirect object does not need the to. I gave my mom, indirect object, some flowers, object. So let's look at that. She is the subject, gave is the verb, the book is the object, to her son is the prepositional object. Okay, we're going to change to her son to an indirect object. She gave her son the book. So here, gave her son. All right, if you have access, you can do exercise 7. Let's look now finally at the present perfect tense. Now this is quite difficult. The affirmative form, we have the subject, we have the auxiliary, which is to have, and then we have the past participle. Okay, remember that when you learn the verbs, you should learn the 3 forms. See, today I see. Saw, yesterday I saw. And seen, that is the past participle. Now, on regular verbs, the past participle is the same as the past tense, but many verbs have 3 different forms, so you have to learn the past participle. I have had it for a couple of months. I is the subject. The first have is the auxiliary, to have, and the second have is the past participle. Remember the 3 forms of the verb to have. Today I have, yesterday I had, and in the present perfect I have had. So we have 2 forms of the verb have. I have had it for a couple of months. Let's look at number 2. The student's subject, have, auxiliary, studied. Studied is the past tense of study, but it's also the past participle because it's a regular verb. The students have studied. Number 3, he has lived in this city all his life. He is the subject, has is the auxiliary, and we have to agree the form with the subject. We have to put the agreement here. We have to conjugate have to has because it's third person singular. Lived is the participle of the verb live. Live, lived, lived. So it's a regular verb, so it's the same as the participle. in this city all his life. Let's look at the negative form. We have the subject, we have the auxiliary again to have, we have not, and then we have the past participle. I have not, I haven't had problems. Okay, let's look at the form first. I, subject, have, auxiliary, not follows the auxiliary. I have not, and had is the third form. If you want, you can contract have not. I haven't had problems. Anne has not lived in this city all her life. And subject has is the third person singular conjugated verb has, and not follows the auxiliary, and then we have the third form of the regular verb lived. And hasn't lived in the city all her life. Finally, the question. Let's see the question form. We have the auxiliary, we have the subject, and we have the past participle. Okay, if you remember the anacrim kazi, question word, auxiliary, subject, and infinitive, this form follows the same. We have the auxiliary, a, z, the subject, and instead of the infinitive, we have the past participle. But the place, the position is here. So, have you had problems? Have is the auxiliary. You is the subject. Had is the past participle. You see it's in the position of the infinitive, but it's the past participle. In a normal question, you would see have, did you have, do you have, but the order is the same. Have you had problems? Okay, has he lived in this city all his life? Okay, this is the third person singular, so I have to use has with he. Has he lived in the city all his life? Okay, those are the three forms, the affirmative, the negative, and the question. Now let's look at what the present perfect is used for. The present perfect expresses an activity or a situation that started in the past but has a link with the present. It is not important when the activity or the situation started, so the time is specific. Okay, just wanted to put that in order. Okay, so activity or situation started in the past, but a link with the present. It is not important when the activity or the situation started, so the time is unspecific. What does that mean? Okay, you can use since and for to talk about when the action or the situation began. Okay, I said that the situation or the activity started in the past, so I can tell you exactly it started, when it started, but it is not important uh, to know exactly when. Uh, okay, so you can use since and for to talk about when the action or the situation began. Okay, I've had it for 2 months, so I began to have it 2 months ago. You see, I'm using the simple past to talk about exactly when the action started, when the action um, actually took place. I began to have it, but I'm telling you I've had it, so this situation is not finished. It's not finished. I've had it since 2017. I began to have it in 2017. Okay, so I'm using began in 2017. This action is concluded, it's finished. So I can use the simple past, but if I want to use the present perfect, I use since with 2017. Since is a point in time, for is a period. Okay, let's look at some examples. Uh, okay, yes. I've been here for 2 minutes. I've been here for 3 hours. I've been here for 6 days. I've been here for about 2 weeks. I've been here for almost 10 months. I've been here for many years. I've been here for a long time. But the fact is, I am still here. You see, this action is linked to the present. We can use since for a point in time. Since can be followed also by a subject and a verb, not only a reference of time, but you can actually construct a new subject and a new verb. I've had my bicycle since I was a child. Since I was a child, we have a new subject, I, and a new verb, was. Okay, I have had, I is the subject, have had is the verb. So since constructs a clause that has a new subject and a new verb. Okay, this is a since clause in the simple past. The verb is in the simple past. I've had my bicycle since subject and verb since I was a child. This is the main clause, this is the since clause. Okay, you can do the exercise 8. Let's look at questions now with how long. Okay, how long have you been in this city? How long have you been in the city? For 5 months. Okay, the next dialogue, A says, how long has Al had a mustache? And B says, since he was 21 years old. C, example C, how long have you known Ilaria? Since the beginning of the term. So the question form of the present perfect is how long, because how long is a question word. It's 2 words, but it's in the position of the question word, how long, then the auxiliary have, then the subject, and then the past participle. How long is a very common question with the present perfect because it uh, it links the beginning of the action with now. Okay, it talks about time. All right, the last thing we're going to see is be able with can and could. Okay, I am able to afford a car means that I can afford the car. I am able to afford a new car. I will be able to afford a new car next year. You see, I can afford a new car next year, so I can put the verb to be in the future, will be, and this becomes a future tense. I will be able to afford a new car next year. You cannot use will with can, although uh, generally will be can be used also in the future. I wasn't able to afford a new car last year. That means I couldn't afford a new car last year. I wasn't able. You see, I changed the uh, verb to be with the past tense, wasn't, and be able to afford. So that means I couldn't afford a new car last year. That's the end of the lesson for now. I want you to remember to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell so you can receive all of the notifications and you can follow all of the lessons. I'm preparing the 18 for the next time. And just one more thing. Let's Yes, I just wanted to remind you that you can go to the website. Sorry. Okay, you can go to the website, and these lessons are here in the menu on the right. Let me just make that a little clearer. Yes, you can see the menu. You see the Speak English course. You see A2 and Unit 17. So you can prepare the lesson here online. You can do this with a different format. So using this format with an audio file, you can listen to the audio file. The phonetics are here and the English is here. After you've practiced, remember that if you are studying on the computer, you can also do step two, the preparation step two. You cannot do this on the smartphone, but this will give you some preparation for. I'm going to go to part A. Do you feel better? Okay. And in the options, let's not move and not read the sentence. So let's start. Do you feel better this morning? Do you feel better this morning? Okay, so I got the good sound. It was a little bit strange, the M that I had the last time. Let's go to the next one. No, I've still got a temperature. Okay, you can hear yourself. No, I've still got a temperature. Okay, and then go to the next one. Or if you want, in the options, you can auto move to the next phrase if you're doing very well. Shall I phone the doctor? Shall I phone the doctor? Okay, this seems to have a little problem. This is probably some kind of problem with iPhone. It is confusing the idea of iPhone. Let's try one more time. Shall I phone the doctor? No, it's a problem. Sometimes that happens. If it happens, just go to the next sentence. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But the surgery isn't open yet. Well, I'll phone in half an hour. Okay, I think you get the idea. This is something that you can do if you want to continue with the study. And so I'll finish here for today. Thank you, and I hope you have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.